Hey everybody, it's Chuck. Well, we got a new build last night that we heard employees got earlier in the week. 11.4.7.3 was pushed to my car and a handful of beta testers' cars early this morning. It was about midnight Eastern, Thursday night, Friday morning. For anybody who was wondering when it got pushed, that was when it came down. Here's the current build number. Here's the current navigation database number. I'm using 2023.20.14.566 on the data. I've got a little bit of a different route here. I'm going to try to get one unprotected left. I'm going to try to get a U-turn. I'm going to try to get a narrow roads and try to get some of the first impressions drive thrown in here. I do want to give an ADAS driver update. They are still here in the neighborhood testing unprotected left-hand turns in a black Tesla with Texas manufactured plates. I'm suspecting they're validating version 12. I can't imagine what else they would be doing. These small point releases don't really need ADAS driver testing, so they're definitely doing some ground truth testing, I think, on version 12. They have moved from my unprotected left that has this fence obstruction down a few blocks to a different one that's got the same road configuration to cross, but not quite the obstruction where you have to creep all the way out. The visibility is a little bit better down there, and it's kind of, one block from a stoplight, so the gaps that are created by that stoplight are a little bit easier to do. But I think they moved probably because of me stalking them. I'm not really sure. Maybe there's another reason. But anyway, I still have not met them face to face. I've just gotten pictures of them. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna go south. We're gonna try to edit our route real quick to get a modification and a U-turn scenario. I don't expect a lot of changes here. There's the good stop. Let's see, we got a good creep network mapped, and it should slowly creep out. And it's clear to the left. It's gonna have to go to the median though. And it needs to wait here in the median. Needs to wait. Gosh, it slowly went out kind of far. Okay, there's a very small gap here. It needs to. And it's waiting, and is it gonna go? Don't go there. Oh, don't go. Gosh, it started creeping out. I didn't like that, but it was slow. And here we go. It should go now. And look at it, it's going to the middle lane again. Okay, so they didn't fix that. That behavior is still in there. That's unfortunate. I'm gonna go ahead and edit my trip. And I'm gonna pay attention to the road. It caught me. Trying to modify my route for you guys. Go ahead and give it a left blinker because it's got a U-turn here mapped. And I do not expect it to try this U-turn. It never does, but I just want to keep throwing this in here for you guys to know what it's doing. See, the planner's got it mapped. The car, yeah, it doesn't know what to do here. It's kind of pointing, look at the steering wheel, pointing out here in a kind of an unsafe direction. I'm just going to sit here for a second, and when this second car comes, I'm going to press the accelerator to force it. And there's a car coming from behind, so I need to wait here. See how close that car was to me? I'm right on this line in an unsafe position. All right, I'm pressing the accelerator, pressing, Hey, look at it, it's going to try it. It did it that time. So it mapped the U-turn. And with the accelerator being forcing it, it was able to find the radius to turn that time to complete the U-turn. So that's cool. That's the first time it's done that. It feels a little random, maybe because it had its steering wheel pointed out. It was able to create that wider radius that time. I didn't really feel like it programmed in any function there for U-turns. It kind of acted just the same, but it did complete the maneuver. So, I guess, there is a future there for trying U-turns if we just give it a little bit more confidence. So I do want to show you here coming up on the right hand, if you can look at the map, this Columbus circle is where the ADAS testers have been testing. See, the stoplight is here, and it's this circle where they're driving in here to the right, and they're going around this circle, and they're doing the unprotected left right here at this intersection. So you see that's kind of a lot more visibility here. That's where that video I posted on X this week was from, of the ADAS driver doing the unprotected left. Anyway, thought you might find that interesting. Okay, so next we're going to do the left-hand turn up here that goes down the narrow roads. We'll see if we get any interaction with some slower vehicles, or if there's any other changes. So far, I've been driving a lot on FSDBeta version 11.4.7.2. Did a lot of highway miles. I am going the speed limit here, as you guys know I do while I'm filming, and these cars are going around me in a very uncomfortable way. I probably should have an override in right now, but I'm getting ready to take a left-hand turn, so I'm not going to do that. It's got the left-hand turn mapped in there. Oh, is it going to do it? Put the blinker on. Now it should go over. Yeah, speed limit is, it ought to be doing traffic flow if it can here. It's a tough problem. I don't know what to say to do. I'm not sure how to solve NHTSA's needs and the safety of traffic flow either. So in this situation, we've got a lead car. It's a flashing yellow yield. It does this one pretty well because the visibility is pretty good. And it needs to wait and let this guy take his turn. Just up ahead, you can see this green light and that second green light in the distance. The car also does a double green light bug. It's going. Is it going to go? It's clear. Interesting. It went for it. Nice. Nice forward facing there. Crossing the railroad tracks. Normally it goes too fast here, but we're right behind a car. And look at it. Gosh, it's almost trying to go around this car. And it figured it out. We have to kind of wait. Boy, it is on his butt. Look how it's ignoring him. Did you see that? He wasn't even marked. I don't know. That was weird. I had to give him some more room. It was dark. It knew it was a follow car, but boy, he was really, really being aggressive on him. Okay, let me just kind of focus a little bit on the turn here. It needs to slow down. It's wide open, so it's going to go here. All right, let's see if it sees the speed bumps. Some shadows here. Speed bump. It needs to slow down. Okay, that was me disengaging for a speed bump. It was going to hit it at 30. It needed to go a little bit slower. Auto steer temporarily unavailable. Interesting. All right. Don't really remember why that happened. Unfortunately, here's an oncoming car, and I'm going to hit it. Oh, ooh, man. Wow, that threw me in my strap. Okay. Look at it going towards him. Okay. So, narrow roads behavior is the same. Unfortunately, that was not good. It was stopping ahead of the stop sign for a car on the other side. And then as it was creeping, it was kind of encroaching the middle of the road. Then he needed, and here's another stop, full stop. Steering wheel's turning towards the car before the car crosses. So I didn't disengage that time, just to kind of let it go. But it, yeah. So no change on narrow roads behavior. I'm not going to brag or complain too much. Lee, do you see that stop way ahead of the stop sign because of the oncoming car? So it's behaving. Look at these trajectories. It is very uncomfortable in this narrow road scenario still. Have to edit my trip here a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Okay, narrow roads, no change. I'm not going to make another video on that one. You kind of got to see the behavior. And here we are, 30 miles an hour at a speed bump. Disengage for speed bump. Hadn't been making too many notes on this video. I make a lot of notes when I'm not filming. Okay, so now we're going to take a right-hand turn here and go up Blanding Boulevard. See what we get here. It needs to kind of, that's a decent stop, but now it needs to do a slow creep. Visibility is good here, and it can go, so it should do this no problem. Okay, so this is a new route that I haven't filmed for you guys before because I wanted to incorporate that narrow road section. So just a little bit different road here. This should probably be pretty straightforward. Multi-lane road, stoplights, that sort of thing. Not much of a challenge here. I've got Memorial Park in there. Let's see what we see here before we change it up. right, I'm back. I probably fast forwarded that section. It was a nice smooth section there. I didn't want to kind of make you guys watch the entire video of this long drive. We're going to take a right-hand turn here. I'm going to go ahead and modify the route. After we got that, I'm going to go ahead and delete that and try not to get busted by the camera. Let's see if it it should remap it straight ahead to the right. All right, look at it in the middle of the road here. Very interesting. It has a car in front. I thought it was going to do the same sort of thing it did on that narrow road for a second, just by it's got a car it could follow. If you see where he is and where I am, I feel, and we got an opposing car coming, okay, oh gosh, and it stopped. This doesn't feel like it's that narrow. That was better behavior than on the other narrow road where the trajectory kept kind of crisscrossing, but it still was not very comfortable by the way it aggressively stopped when it recognized the narrow road scenario. It ought to just apply a little bit more of a creep. I'm going to actually disengage here and go straight through this intersection. You see where I am in the middle of this intersection? These cars are having to go way over. You can see the lead cars to the right. That we need to be over there. I'm going to go ahead and just disengage to show you where I ought to be at a stop sign so that the oncoming cars can be. So that bias to the middle is a little bit problematic, especially when there's a wait and oncoming cars need to get by you. So that is not the behavior we want. I'm going to go straight through this intersection here and let the map reroute on the next road here. The reason I want to do it is because there's a section of road up here where it does a good job, usually around a lot of pedestrians and parked cars. Okay, here's a good stop with a creep. It needs to go up, and it feels like it's in the middle, but there is a yellow line there, and I think it was honoring just the very left edge of that, and it's clear to the right. Okay, so now we're going back through Avondale, which is this little village with lots of parking and pedestrians here in a few minutes. And this is the more traditional return. Do have a jogger up here. See how the jogger's kind of on that white line? Let's see how much of a bias it gives. Slowing down, little bit of a bias. That was good. That was good. It was cautious, had a good trajectory. The jogger could see what I was going to do, I think, very clearly. So I liked that behavior. That was good. So far, I have to say, it feels like the narrow roads behavior might be worse, but that's a little hard to say because it's just so few cases. But it's definitely aggressively stopping when it recognizes there's a narrow road scenario, even if there's a stop sign interaction in between the car and that it has to avoid. So there's some distance measuring and behavior that is still not right on this build. Not that I expected it to get fixed. So you have a pedestrian starting to cross. It needs to wait. Okay, I'm forcing it. See, he's in the crosswalk there. It should have waited for him. That was not good. Failed to stop for a pedestrian in crosswalk. I expected it was going to stop for him, and maybe it was just the way his vector wasn't moving, but the law is him in the crosswalk requires me to stop. So, you know, the fact that it might have been using a vector to determine if he was crossing might have been the issue there. So that's kind of maybe one of my first scenarios where I actually had a pedestrian in the crosswalk that wasn't moving. Got a biker here. It needs to go over. Oh, wow. Do you see that stop? Okay, this stopping behavior is new. I know it is new because I've said like, wow, like 3 times when it does it. And I know that I'm just kind of talking while I'm filming here, but that biker was coming this way. There was no opposing car. It previously would have gone around that biker by crossing the yellow line. And that time it almost treated that biker like a narrow roads vehicle. That's interesting. I didn't see blinkers on here. I'm going to have to look back in post-production. Did you guys see any blinkers on that S-curve? That might have been the first S-curve that I didn't hear a blinker. There's one more curve up here where the blinker usually turns on. That would be a great improvement if they finally figured that one out. There's no harm, no foul to that blinker. It's just a little odd. Normally it turns on like right about here. Let's see. No, there it is. Okay, so they didn't fix that. I was hoping that maybe there was something they fixed, but the blinker on the S-curve still happened there for no reason. Two little traffic circles here that you guys have seen before. It usually does okay, but it's always about the traffic interaction. Okay, it needs to go straight. It's got the path mapped correctly. It's got to yield. These cars are moving kind of fast. It needs to assert itself, and it's going too slow. There's a truck right behind me. It's going way too slow here. But it did it. I'm not going to complain too much. It felt uncomfortably slow going through that circle. And here's one more circle where it just kind of needs to bend to the right. It's usually pretty easy because all these cars are typically going straight here. But it's mapping a complete stop here for no reason. Look at that. Complete stop. And now it almost lost its opportunity. That was an unnecessary stop for a traffic circle. Yeah, I'm going to hit the snapshot button just in case they're still using that for the last 30 seconds to grab that for them. Don't know why. I'm not going to complain about that. Those traffic circles have always been hit or miss based on the traffic, but it says yield right there. It doesn't say stop. So, and with no cars, it should have just yielded and proceeded. That's why you have those circles there. Interesting. I know I was having the conversation about that biker stopping, the narrow road stopping, and the aggressive jerk that it was doing. That is what has felt different to me so far on this drive is that braking action. I even think I said once it threw me in my seatbelt. I felt my seatbelt actually pulling on me with the deceleration curve it was using there. Did not feel unsafe. So it was like a preparatory stop in order to allow the scenario to evolve or to yield. So it was not an improvement. So why would they have added a stop in order to solve those problems unless it was just something else going on with the way they needed time, or maybe they were fighting a latency and they just wanted to stop. But with cars right behind you, you cannot hit brakes that hard unexpectedly, especially if there isn't anything dangerous happening. That'll get you rear-ended, especially if you're already going below the speed limit. So, I don't know. We got a couple more turns here. It's usually pretty straightforward. One unprotected left at the end. Got a nice big truck here fighting his way around. Interesting to see how it mapped him as blue there for a second, even though he's not in our path. And you can see these trucks out here, this truck in the intersection, how he's doing an unprotected forward-facing left there, how he put himself in the intersection, and these cars rolling right through there. This light should give me a green arrow, but if you also see on the other side of that intersection, and they are mapped, okay, we got a green arrow here, so we're protected in this scenario, but it needs to go. Don't go. See how slow? That was really slow. Oh, and now it uses a boost. Wow. It almost kicked me in the butt there as it made the corner. That felt different. So there's some acceleration, deceleration curve differences in this build. It feels like so far, just because I'm noticing it. And I've been driving a lot, like I said, the last few days on this build, and I've gotten kind of familiar with all of its kind of nuances, and just the way I'm talking on the camera, I can tell the differences are in the deceleration and acceleration curves. I wonder how they tweak that. I wonder if those are knobs or dials or weight, or is that just included into the weights of the training, or we're not end to end on this build, so more than likely those are small tweaks to some of the 300,000 lines of code that is actually making version 11 work. Interesting scenario here where I have the right of way going straight, but I'm stopping almost a full stop. That was actually okay. It didn't need to slow down as much as it did, and it did not aggressively brake to throw me in my seatbelt. It was allowing that truck to get over, but it could have very easily done a blinker and go around, but it chose to just kind of stay in my lane and fight my way through without changing my trajectory at all. I don't know. What do you guys think? I struggle to know how many videos to make on these point releases. I mean, the release notes didn't even change. You know, I get out here and put some film for you guys to look at, and maybe you see some things that I didn't. I know a lot of you that don't get these builds right away are fascinated to see what's changed. So maybe just the length of the film, letting you guys watch it, listen to the commentary and see what I notice is enough. I don't think I need to go do a full narrow roads video. I think I saw plenty on that. The acceleration and deceleration curves felt a little bit different for sure. You know, the unprotected left still went to the middle lane. I don't know. It felt the same but different, and maybe in one situation a little bit worse on narrow roads behavior. The bias to the middle is overdone. It's putting itself in the incorrect position while it's waiting. And here on this forward-facing unprotected left, it should be a complete roller. It's clear for about a half a mile down there, and it didn't even stop. So that was a perfectly good turn there. So there it is, guys. FSDBeta version 11.4.7.3, and this is build 2023.27.7. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have a great day, everybody.